Let me give you this example. There are two individuals who are joining a gym. They both want to build muscles. One person believes that he controls everything. Everything is determined by his efforts. So the more efforts that he puts, the faster his muscle growth will be. While the other person is a believer in luck. Okay? You see where I'm going? In this video, I'm going to make a case that there is no upside to believing in luck. And if you believe in luck, then you're literally a loser. Don't feel insulted yet. I'm going to tell you how you can stop believing in luck and take control of your destiny and have this winner's mindset. Winners don't believe in luck. Now, you might think of some successful people who attribute their success to luck. But the reason why they do that is because they don't want to make you feel bad. They don't want to tell you that they are successful because they are hardworking and they are more intelligent than you, and that is why they are successful, and you will never be successful. They don't want you to feel like that. So it's it sounds nice to say to people that, oh, I got successful because I got lucky. It makes you sound modest. So they want to project this image of modesty so that people, their audience, don't feel bad and don't feel jealous of their success. That is why they say that it's just a psychological trick to project modesty. But you should not be thinking, you should not be looking at a successful person and thinking that it's they just got lucky. Do you think Elon Musk got lucky? He's founded company after company, successful companies, all doing groundbreaking work. Jeff Bezos, is he lucky? No. I had a colleague who once opened a LinkedIn profile of his former colleague, and he saw that this former colleague of his, who was working at the same level as him, has now become some senior director in some company. And his first reaction was, this person got lucky. What a loser reaction. How do you know he got lucky? You're not in touch with this guy for so many years. Now, just because you see that he has achieved the success which you've not, your reaction is that he's lucky? Anytime you see a successful person, it's a normal human reaction, by the way. Many people would have this reaction, including myself when I was younger. You look at somebody who's successful, and he is lucky because he's lucky to have born in the rich family. He is lucky that he is born in the US. Now, to certain extent, that may play some role, right? If somebody is born in a rich family in the US, that person may have better chances of success than somebody who is born in a poor family in India, let's say. Just for the sake of argument, that is possible, likelihood wise. But the point that I'm making is there is no upside to believing in luck. Even if there are factors which are uncontrollable by you, there is no upside to believing in luck. There is no benefit of believing that you don't completely control your destiny. Because here's the thing, when you say that there is luck and I will achieve success only if the luck is working in my favor, your intensity of efforts is going to go down in the same proportion that you believe in luck. And most people in the world are actually not putting in the efforts that are required to achieve certain thing. And they're just blaming luck for their own lack of effort. Nobody says that my efforts are not enough. And that's why I'm not able to achieve this. Every loser in the world blames luck. Every loser in the world says, I'm waiting for my time. When my luck favors me, I will get success. But I can see, I have such people in my life, very close to me, and I can look at them. I can see as clear as day that their efforts are not enough. They spend all their time watching Netflix or YouTube. They binge watch for hours and hours. They spend all their weekends partying or drinking. And then they are not achieving success. And the reason is I'm not lucky. What the hell? I can see it, man. You're not putting in efforts. So every loser in the world believes in luck. Now, as I said, there can be uncontrollable factors. You cannot control every factor of your life, but believing in luck is not going to benefit you one bit. When I was discussing this topic with one of my best friends, he said Bhagavad Gita says that you should do your deeds and not worry about the results because you do not control the results. So it's a wise thing to believe that you can only do your deeds, you can only control your deeds, you can only control your actions, you should not worry about the results. That's a wise thing to believe. I reject it. I'm sorry. I am going against Bhagavad Gita, uh, which is a holy book for a lot of people. But I I reject this particular piece of wisdom. It's not wisdom. Now, by saying this, I'm not saying that you do actually control everything, but you have to believe that you control everything. This wisdom is good for the mentally weak people to keep them from anxiety. Because if somebody is mentally weak and they are putting in efforts and the results are not coming, they will become anxious and they might break down. They might get depressed. So for them, it's a good trick. It's a good psychological trick to tell them, see, the wise thing to believe is that you don't control everything. Again, why? Exactly because that person is a loser. Exactly because that person is mentally weak. And because that person may not be putting in enough efforts, and that is why the result is not coming, and now this person is getting anxious. Now, to keep him from feeling anxious, you tell them, see, you don't control the results, so you can only control your action. You calm him down. That advice is for the losers. For the winners out there, you have to believe, even if you don't control everything, you have to believe that you do control everything. Because I'll tell you, now this is the meat of my argument, that there is no upside to believing in luck. Because to the extent that you believe in luck, your intensity of effort is going to go down. It's bound to happen. Let me give you this example. There are two individuals who are joining a gym. They both want to build muscles. One person believes that he controls everything. Everything is determined by his efforts. So the more efforts that he puts, the faster his muscle growth will be, while the other person is a believer in luck. Okay? You see where I'm going? The other person is a believer in luck. Who is more likely to gain muscles and gain it faster? Of course, the person who thinks that everything is determined by his efforts. Why? Because let's say they both start out with equal intensity of work. 3 months go by. Now the muscle growth is not good enough. Muscle growth is maybe the muscle growth is not happening. So the person who does not believe in luck, who only believes in his effort, what is he going to think? He is going to think that, okay, I need to increase my efforts because it's only my efforts. So if the result is not showing, it must mean that my efforts are not enough and I have to increase my effort. Even if even if his efforts were intense enough, he was working to the best of his ability, he is still going to think, I need to push myself harder. And that's how it is in the gym. You may think that this is your limit, but that is not your limit. You can always push harder. You will find, if you have been to the gym religiously, then you know that to be true. That's how it works. So this person who does not believe in luck is going to push himself harder. Now, what happens in the mind of the person who does believe in luck? He's going to think that I was pushing myself to the best of my ability. It is still not happening. So, my genes are bad. Maybe he's genetically superior. Maybe my genes are bad because I don't control everything. I am doing enough efforts, but it's not. So what's going to happen? This person is not going to push himself harder because he already thought that he was pushing himself harder. Whereas the reality is that both of them were pushing themselves equally. One of them identified the need to push himself even harder, while the other person attributed the lack of success to other factors, genes, which is in turn luck. Why? Because I'm not lucky. I got poor genes. So now I'm not saying that genetic factors don't determine such things ever. They do. But how do you know? How do you know that your genes are poor? How do you know that there are some uncontrollable factors which are preventing your success? You don't know that because you can't measure that. So your only strategy should be to believe that everything is completely determined by your actions, because the moment you attribute your lack of success to external uncontrollable factors called luck, your intensity of effort is going to go down. It's just logic. Hence, why I say there is no upside to believing in luck. And if you believe in luck, more likely than not, you are a loser. You are externalizing the blame for you not getting success.